So it's very, very hard to grow a business and actually scale and get big. I don't mean like have a little self-employed thing. I'm talking about grow a company, right? Doing $1 million, $2 million plus a year if you don't have the right team around you.
Scale is the key. You need other people than yourself.
Yeah, you can't do it. You cannot do it all by yourself. You cannot have a company alone. You may start off alone, but you cannot have a company alone.
Right.
We had everything going against us.
Yeah, we were young. We were broke. We didn't know anything about business. We literally started from nothing.
We were never supposed to make it.
Okay, so we're talking about business essentials, right? We're
Yes.
talking about scaling a company, taking it from just you. Maybe you have a little desk at your house or your apartment, your condo, like in the corner of a room somewhere in your bedroom. From taking it from that to you're not alone. Business can operate in some ways without you. You can make some passive income. You can't do it alone.
Yeah,
If
you gotta have
your
a team.
goal is to get to that spot.
Right.
So
now there's stages,
Yes, of course.
right?
Yeah.
So you don't go from the house, from the desk in your garage to,
Yeah.
a full team. There's stages, but you have to have, I think you have to have awareness of when you hit those levels and those places where you're like, okay, I need to add to my team.
So let's talk about just that really, really quick. What are some signs that you're going to need to implement some of the things we're talking about?
Well, let's start with the first one, which is having a world-class, fantastic, amazing assistant, right? Which I have. She's sitting right there. She doesn't like the camera, so we won't turn around and point it at her.
She likes it a little bit more now.
Now
I think.
she does.
Yeah.
But you got to have a world-class assistant. An assistant, and we'll talk about assistant in a second. But here's how you know. When it's costing you money not to have a helper, that's when you need a helper.
When things are falling through the cracks, things that are costing you money or are holding up your money, like you feel so scattered that you're being pulled into too many different places that it's absolutely necessary.
100%, right? When you sit there and go, like, damn, I'm dropping the ball on a lot of... For example, one of our top guys was having... He kept telling me, hey, I'm supposed to get paid. And then it wasn't happening, right? So I called him and I said, yo, whatever's going on over there, whoever's processing your stuff, like something's not working. So you need to like get rid of that system and replace it with something that works. Whether it's you doing it yourself for a little bit, I don't know what it is. But my point is that like when you go, man, I can't get it all done because it's just me. That's the moment when you go, okay, I need to get an assistant now. Because at that point, the pendulum swings from an assistant's not a bill anymore, it's an investment.
Not having one is costing you money.
Yeah, it's costing you money, right?
Exactly.
But let's talk about an assistant for a second real quick because it needs to be, like Sherry is the greatest, helper on the planet, right? And so it needs to be the right person.
Absolutely. You can't just turn anyone into an assistant because some people are not organized. Some people are not very responsible. So if you have like a younger sibling, you're like, oh, she'll just be my, my assistant. She'll handle everything. You have to know people and their strengths.
Right.
So they need to be responsible. They need to be more systemized. They need to be organized. One good way is just taking a look at their car, I think is a good indication of how organized and how systemized somebody is. And I'll tell you one thing, is that it's not always going to be the first person who you have working as your assistant. It might not even be the second one. You might go through a few people till you find the right person for your industry, for your business, for your personality. But it is worth having one and making sure that, you're fulfilling your end of the bargain too.
Yeah, it's interesting you say it might. You don't even necessarily know what you're looking for until you try. Yeah, until you try. And another thing is that it needs to be someone you could trust.
Intelligent.
Like, trust with your life, someone who's extremely trustworthy. But yeah, it's an assistant is definitely something. It's different for everybody. Everybody wants something different, but you need to have one when it gets to the point where you should have one. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people get stuck because they're effing cheap, right? Where they don't want to hire somebody. They don't want to pay somebody. So they try to squeak by with their little sister or their cousin or whatever, which, by the way, that might work.
Yeah, that could work out great in some scenarios.
One of our coaches, his sister is his assistant, at least one of his assistants. And so it could work. And sometimes it's little things. Sometimes you don't need someone 40 hours a week. You don't need someone on salary, but you need someone to pick up the slack. So it's like, if I need someone to send thank you cards to all my clients because I haven't done that. Mm-hmm. And it's super important. Like, one thank you card will make you tons of money, And so maybe in that case, it is your sister, or maybe it's your mom, because your mom's retired and your mom could do that. But you need to grow that position as you grow. But you will not grow without it if you're at that point.
Yes. Yeah. And if you have momentum and you're growing really fast, you can potentially just destroy all momentum if you refuse to move with, the speed of your business.
Yeah, because things get too messy.
Exactly.
And it's okay for things to get a little messy. But then you got to have the right resources in place to keep things from getting out of control. And once you start dropping the ball, forgetting to call people back, things aren't getting processed right. You're leaving money on the table because you're spread too thin. Like, dude, then just hire a damn assistant. Like, that will make you money. That will help you grow.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we could talk about that for a whole episode. But we'll move into the next thing, which I think is just as important, is having a really good...
Wait, let me say one last thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Because in our industry, people are notorious for this. And pay your freaking assistant.
Yes.
Not $7 an hour, $5 an hour.
Less than minimum wage.
Damn, dude. You actually, as you grow, they if they're full time with you, their income should grow too. I think we've given Sherry a raise every single year, or almost something like that, since she's been with us, because as we grow, she's a big part of that. And so I just see so many people that they just half-ass it with their assistant, and then they wonder why their assistant doesn't do a good job.
I mean, I look at Sherry, just looking at her.
I'm looking at Sherry.
I look at Sherry as a business partner.
100%.
She is in business as well, but as a equal, business partner,
right.
Where if we're succeeding, she should succeed as well.
Right. 100%. And so don't be that person who does not pay their team, because you're cheap, and so you're trying to cut corners and you're trying to what's the minimum I could get you for, that's not going to work. I mean, you're going to get what you pay for, Exactly. Obviously there's an understanding that, hey, I'm starting off small, but my goal is you could grow with us. We had that conversation with Sherry. We're all right, our goal is that as we grow, you grow, but it's a team effort. And, and 100% a business partner. Okay, now go on to number 2.
Number 2, very important, because you do not want to mess with these people. You need, not the people I'm talking about, but you need a good CPA, a good
accounting
firm. You don't want to mess with the IRS.
Nope.
Ever.
They will get their money whether you want them to or not.
By the way, we love you so much. Hi.
No, we pay our share. We do a good job. So not a TurboTax if you're trying to build your company. Not my mom does my taxes. Okay, well, I mean, there may be a time and place for that, but just like an assistant, once you're making money, if you start making, you're making 50, 60, 70 grand a year, you're no longer doing a little side hustle, hobby. At that point, you're making what some people make in a year. And so, when we were starting to make 50, 60, 70 grand a year, we upgraded from like my parents, dude who we would meet in a hotel room, literally. He'd come to town and be in a hotel room, literally. And he was doing our taxes. So that was a tax guy, right? And tax guys have their place. But then we upgraded to a CPA. And then we realized that she sucked. So then we spoke to our coach. Actually, I talked to Mylette, right? And I said, Mylette, where should we go? Do you have a recommendation? We just, at this point, we went from making 50, 60 grand a year to on track, to make a high 6-figure, 7-figure income. We need to get this right. And I said, we're not trying to cut corners, but we also don't want to get crushed by having someone who's doesn't have our best interests at heart. Where should we go? And he referred us.
Exactly. You need to not have that weight on your shoulders.
Right.
That is a very stressful position to be in if things are not how they're supposed to be. You need somebody who knows what they're doing, who is up to date on what happens every single year, because you do not have the time to study
tax
laws. You just don't. And these people already know this because they do it for a living. So take advantage of that. Go to someone who is reputable.
But it goes back to being freaking cheap again. It goes back to being cheap.
It's going to be way more expensive to fix it than it is to just do it right the first time.
Here's what I remember. One of my good buddies, who actually is not our CPA, but he's a good friend of mine. I call him when we have a question. And he told me, he said, listen, even if I charged you $3,000, I'm going to save you in trouble and taxes more than I charged you, right? So if I save you $40,000 because you have legitimate write-offs that save you $40,000 this year, aren't you okay with paying me $3,000? Right? And so a good CPA, CPAs are not all created equally, just like neither are financial planners or hairstylists or tattoo artists or anything. But a good CPA works for me, right? Not the IRS, right? Which means that they're trying to help me, but they also don't cross lines that would put us in trouble with the IRS, right? So everything's above board. Everything's done correctly. We pay our fair share in taxes, and you have to be willing to do that, by the way, because that's how the freaking country works. And so you got to be willing to pay your share. But I also don't want to pay more than what I'm supposed to pay, right? Which is why I want a CPA, so that I know that I'm getting to the line without crossing the line and I'm doing everything right.
Yeah, and along with that is once you find that person, listen to them.
Yeah, don't fight with. It's like fighting with the doctor. It's like, dude, the doctor knows what they're talking about.
You're paying this person all this money now, assuming you found somebody, and now you're just not going to listen to them.
Yes.
You're not going to give them the documents they need when they ask for them. You're not going to save your receipts, or if they tell you to open up an S corp or LLC, you don't do it. You have to just be coachable.
And it's mind blowing to me. You don't do it because you saw some shit on YouTube, and you or your friend told you, your friend who works at In-N-Out told you that you shouldn't open a corporation. It's and everything, all the way back to assistant to this, just hire a professional who does this for a living, like you already said, so that you don't have to do it. The problem is when you get cheap and you cut corners and you're running your shit like you're running it out of the trunk of your car versus running an actual business.
Mm-hmm. It makes a world of a difference. So just do it. That's it.
And there are levels, okay? So
right.
You may start off with a tax guy or a CPA who's alone, but then eventually you go which we've done is you go to a full-blown accounting firm, right? That does your QuickBooks, they do your payroll, they do everything, and you pay your share of taxes so that the IRS doesn't ever feel like they have to come get their share on their own. Mm-hmm. So do it right. That way you could stay in business and have a good relationship with the IRS, because you do your job. All right. Next essential in business.
Essential.
Some sort of a scoreboard, some sort of a way of tracking if we're winning.
Yes, tracking so you know when you're winning, so you know when something is off and what is off. tracking, I mean, it just varies based off of your industry, but you just need to be tracking pretty much everything.
Yeah. But you got to know what the key things are, right? Like the bottom line is, did I make money? Are we in the red or are we in the black, right? Are we positive or are we negative? But there are a lot of things you probably have to track along the way to get it to where you're consistently making money, right? So in any business, it's tracking, like in our industry, for example, how many clients are we sitting with a week? You know, as a company, how many clients are we sitting with a week? And of those, 50 clients, 100 clients we're sitting with a week, how effective are we? Are we closing? Are we having success? Are we getting referrals? Are people becoming our client? Which shows, are we adding enough value? Are we doing a good job? And then at the end of the month, we're looking at who were the top producers? How much money did we make? How much money did we make as a company? How many clients did we put in place? Did we send out thank you cards? Are we winning? Are we growing?
Yeah.
In business, I think if you're not growing, then you're not winning, right? You shouldn't be stagnant. McDonald's doesn't have a goal of selling the same amount of cheeseburgers every day. The goal is that they continue to have more people in the drive-thru, and we should get better and better and better. And then once they max out at one location, they go, oh, that's why we opened another one down the street, And so some sort of system to track if you're winning.
By the way, if you're not a system person and this is absolutely not your
hire
area of expertise, then also like either your assistant or you find somebody who is and get them to help you find a system that you can stick with for all of these things.
Yeah. Systems. Big one. Let's talk about another one.
Let's talk about your own personal daily minimum standards. Especially when you first start out in business, this is the number one thing.
Tracking every day, especially self-accountability, right, for yourself. Am I doing the right things to move us forward?
Yes. What are the top 5 things that I need to be doing every single day?
Yeah, not 30
to
things.
be filling in my pipeline.
Yeah.
And then you having, again, a tracker, whatever, on your phone, anything, that you can check off, okay, I did everything I'm supposed to do today.
Daily. Every single day. I wake up, check. Not 25 things, because then you're not going to get those done. And the second you start to create a habit of not finishing them, then everything goes to crap. But it's every day. These are the 5 most important things. Like Andy Frisella calls it the power list, right? It's like if I just knock out bam, 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 bam. Every day I know I'm going to end up on top. I know it.
Keep it simple.
Zero doubt in my mind I'm going to end up on top. Big one. Last thing, some sort of a marketing plan, some sort of an expansion plan, some sort of tell the world I exist and I'm in business.
If, again, right back to the beginning, right? You're trying to go from self-employed to expanding your business into an actual business.
Actual company, yep.
And that's going to include some sort of marketing.
So like for us, there was a long time when I edited everything myself. And I could do it, but then it's just like, man, like number one, it gets to a point where other people are going to be better at this than me. And then it also takes too much time, and so our producer, Jay Justin, is like a freaking wizard and genius on this stuff. And he just so happens to be Sherry's other half. And so we freaking struck gold, between the two of them. I swear they could build anything. But the reality is it goes back to like this whole thing, Business Essentials, is about having the right team around you. That's really what it is. It's having an assistant, it's having a CPA, it's having some sort of a system. It's having you effective, and then having a marketing person, a producer, someone, if you're trying to do social media, this could be a good spot where you go hire your kid, because they may be really good at social media and you're not. Your kid could take you outside and tell you stand there and do this, and boom, now you have a photographer. But it's about being conscious of what you're putting out. What you put out is your brand. And if you suck at all these things, then just hire someone to do them.
Bottom line.
They will make you so much more money. You will make money by putting out decent content, because that decent content will attract you clients.
It goes back to, I think, that age-old rule where it's, you gotta spend money to make money sometimes.
Yep. There's a time and place for it.
Yes.
But when you feel it, you'll know. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I need someone to help me. Mm-hmm. And that's when you start to move in those directions.
Listen to your instinct.
Yep. Trust your gut. All right, you guys. We appreciate your support, all your shares, sharing the teaser videos, spreading the word. If you're in business, you're in our industry, share this with your team. And
just spread the love.
Spread the love.
The content.
Okay.
The value.
All right. Fired up. So cool. All right, you guys, we're out.
Bye.